Tonight, we're turning our attention toward one of the quietest questions a cat person ever carries. What does your cat's sleeping position tell you about the relationship it has decided to have with you? For anyone who has ever watched their cat settle somewhere across the room and wondered if that distance meant something, it does. And the answer has been written in feline behavior for 10,000 years. Welcome to Sleepy Animal, wherever you are right now. Perhaps already lying down, your breathing beginning to slow. Allow yourself this particular kind of quiet. We'll read the posture of 100 sleeping cats tonight. From the ancient wild cats of North Africa, who first chose to sleep near human fires, to the cat curled on your pillow right now. Each position, a small declaration. Each tucked paw, a sentence in a language that predates words. Close your eyes and breathe deeply. You're where a warm cat already dreams. Let your mind settle into that same quiet, dark. And now we begin. A domestic cat, spending more than 16 hours asleep, is not being lazy. It is doing exactly what 10,000 years of evolution designed it to do. Cats are crepuscular hunters, meaning their peak activity is concentrated in short bursts at dawn and dusk, leaving most of the day and night available for restorative rest. This pattern evolved because hunting at low light requires intense muscular and neurological output. Short, high-cost sprints that demand long recovery windows. A sleeping cat is not wasting time. It is rebuilding capacity with the same efficiency a surgeon rests before a procedure. The question your cat's posture answers, though, is not whether it sleeps, but where, and why, and near whom. The domestic cat, Felis chatus, shares approximately 95% of its genetic material with the African wildcat, Felis libica, a small, solitary desert predator that has changed very little in the past 10,000 years. Every sleeping position your cat adopts carries this inheritance. The same postural instincts that protected a wildcat's vital organs in an open desert still operate tonight in your living room. When your cat tucks its paws beneath its chest and folds inward, it is performing a behavior that predates your house, your furniture, and your presence in its life by millennia. The fact that it does this near you is the part worth noticing. Archaeological evidence suggests that cats first began living near human settlements in the Fertile Crescent around 10,000 BCE, not because humans captured or bred them, but because grain storage attracted rodents, and rodents attracted cats. Unlike dogs, who were actively domesticated by humans, selecting for specific traits, cats selected themselves. They approached human spaces because humans were useful to them. Researchers describe this as commensal domestication, a relationship built on mutual benefit rather than deliberate breeding. The cats who stayed were not the boldest or the most aggressive. They were the ones whose stress response was low enough to tolerate human proximity. That calm, that particular willingness to remain close, is what was passed on. When a cat chooses to sleep in the same room as a human, rather than retreating to a quieter space, it is making an active neurological decision. The feline amygdala, the region that processes threat and safety, continuously scans the environment during the early stages of sleep. A cat that sleeps in your presence has assessed your movements, your sounds, your scent, and your behavioral patterns, and rated them as low threat. Sleep is the most vulnerable state any animal enters. Choosing to be vulnerable near you is not casual. It is the result of an evaluation you passed without being told you were being tested. The position known as the loaf, in which a cat sits with all four paws tucked beneath its body, eyes partially closed, tail wrapped neatly around its base, is one of the most commonly observed resting postures in domestic cats worldwide. Behaviorally, it represents a midpoint between alertness and sleep. The cat is resting, but has not committed to full vulnerability. All limbs are gathered inward, protecting the abdomen. The spine is upright. The position allows the cat to rise and move in under a second métis. Feline behaviorists describe this posture as a readiness rest, the body conserving energy while the threat assessment system remains partially online. A cat that loafs near you is resting with you. It has not yet decided to fully let go. The sleeping positions of domestic cats were first systematically studied in the 1970s by researchers observing feral and semi-domestic cat colonies. Early studies focused on thermoregulation, the idea that curling inward conserved heat and exposed positions radiated it. These thermal explanations were partially correct, but incomplete. Later, research incorporating heart rate monitoring showed that the degree to which a cat extends or exposes its body during sleep correlates more strongly with social context, specifically proximity to trusted individuals, than with ambient temperature alone. Cats, sleeping alone in warm environments, still curl tightly. Cats, sleeping beside familiar humans, will sprawl and expose their belly even in cool rooms. The posture is not only about temperature. It is about what the environment is asking the nervous system to do. Cats enter sleep through two distinct stages that researchers call slow wave sleep and REM sleep, similar in structure to human sleep cycles. During slow wave sleep, which occupies roughly 3/4 of total sleep time, the body temperature drops, muscle tension decreases, and the cat remains partially responsive to sound and movement. During REM sleep, the eyes move beneath closed lids, the whiskers may twitch, and the paws occasionally flex, evidence of active dreaming. What distinguishes a cat in deep REM from one in light sleep is visible in posture. Cats in true REM frequently shift from gathered, compact positions into longer, more open ones, as if the dreaming body has temporarily forgotten to protect itself. A cat twitching in your lap, fully extended, has gone somewhere the threat system cannot follow. The distance a cat chooses to sleep from its primary caregiver is not random. Studies of multi-person households show that cats consistently position themselves closer to the person they have identified as their primary attachment figure, even in homes where multiple people offer food and play. Attachment behavior in cats was long considered absent or negligible by researchers who compared it unfavorably to dog-human bonding. A landmark 2019 study, published in Current Biology, challenged this conclusion, showing that domestic cats form secure attachment bonds with their caregivers that mirror the attachment patterns observed in human infants and dogs. The cat that settles closest to you at night is not doing so because your bed is warmer. It knows whose bed it is. When a cat sleeps with its back to you, many owners interpret this as indifference, as if the cat is turning away. Feline behaviorists read it differently. Turning one's back requires trust. A cat facing away from you has positioned its most vulnerable side, the spine and the nape of the neck, in your direction. It has assessed you as something that does not require watching. A cat that faces the door while sleeping near you has given you the same assessment it gives the wall. You are part of the safe perimeter. The animal turning its back to you is not ignoring you. It is relying on you. The first cats to live in close proximity to humans were not tame, they were tolerant. This distinction matters enormously to understanding what sleeping near a human means in feline terms. Tameness, as researchers define it, involves active seeking of human contact. Tolerance means the stress threshold for human proximity is simply high enough that the cat does not flee. Most domestic cats today occupy a spectrum between these two states. The cats that sleep touching their owners are closer to the tame end. The cats that sleep in the same room but not on the same surface are tolerant. Both represent a relationship, but they are different sentences in the same language. We are 10,000 years from where this story began. Each fact is one step in the journey from wildcat to the animal breathing beside you tonight. In ancient Egypt, by approximately 3000 BCE, cats had transitioned from tolerated pest controllers at the margins of grain storage to animals held in active reverence. Images from this period show cats resting beneath chairs in domestic settings, a visual record of the specific social role they had earned. The goddess Bastet, depicted as a woman with the head of a cat, was associated not with power or war, but with home, warmth, and protection. The sleeping cat had become a symbol of a particular kind of safety. This cultural encoding lasted for centuries. It was not arbitrary. People were observing something real. That an animal freely choosing to rest in your home means the home is safe. A cat exposing its belly while asleep, lying on its side or back, with the abdomen fully visible, is demonstrating a level of vulnerability that does not occur in the presence of perceived threat. The belly is the softest, most organ-dense, and least protected part of a cat's body. In a wild context, exposing it is a calculated risk that animals only take when the nervous system has assessed the environment as genuinely safe. Researchers measuring cortisol levels in cats find the lowest readings during exposed belly sleep. The cat's chemistry is not performing relaxation. It is producing it. When a cat sleeps this way near you, its body simply has nothing to defend against. Cats that sleep in close physical contact with their owners, pressed against a leg, tucked under an arm, draped across a chest, show distinct differences in sleep quality compared to cats sleeping at a distance. Research measuring heart rate variability during sleep suggests that cats in contact with a trusted human enter REM, sleep faster, and sustain it longer than cats sleeping alone. The presence of a familiar human appears to function as a biological regulator, a signal that the threat monitoring system can step further back. The cat is not just choosing comfort, it is borrowing your calm. The slow blink, a deliberate, half-closed eye gesture that cats direct toward familiar individuals appears most frequently in the minutes immediately before and after sleep. Researchers who studied this behavior found that it functions as a social signal of reduced threat and relaxed intention. When a cat slow blinks at you before settling in to sleep, it is completing a small transaction, communicating that the eyes, which in cats are among the primary instruments of threat detection, are no longer needed for that purpose right now. A 2020 study confirmed that slow blinking by humans directed at cats increases the likelihood of the cat approaching and initiating contact. The gesture is a shared grammar. You can speak it back. In the wild, African wildcats sleep in concealed locations, dense brush, hollow logs, rocky crevices. The choice of sleeping site is driven entirely by vulnerability minimization. Domestic cats retain this instinct. Studies of cat behavior in multi-room homes show that cats tend to choose sleeping locations that provide at least one unobstructed sightline toward an entry point. A door, a hallway, a window. But cats sleeping with trusted humans frequently abandon this positioning. They face inward, toward the human, rather than toward the room. The door is watched, in a sense, by someone they trust to watch it. The architectural instinct gives way to social trust. Kittens are born with their eyes and ears sealed. For the first 2 weeks of life, they navigate the world entirely through touch, smell, and the body heat of their mother and littermates. Sleep during this period is almost continuous, 18 to 22 hours daily, and always in physical contact with other bodies. This early imprinting means that warmth and contact during sleep are, at a neurological level, synonymous with safety for cats. A cat that returns again and again to sleep against your body is not simply cold. It is accessing a register of safety that was written before its eyes were open. The curled sleeping position, in which a cat tucks its head toward its tail, wrapping the body into a near circle, is observed across virtually all wild felids. From the smallest domestic cat to lions and leopards in their habitat, thermal regulation accounts for part of this. The curl reduces surface area and conserves heat, but behavioral research suggests a second function. The position places the face, which houses the most neurologically sensitive organs, at the center of the body's natural protective geometry. Whiskers, eyes, and nose are shielded. The posture is the animal protecting what it uses to understand the world. A cat that uncurls near you has decided those instruments don't need protecting right now. The spot a cat returns to night after night is not chosen randomly. Scent glands located on the face, paws, and flanks deposit chemical markers each time a cat rests in a location. Over days and weeks, a sleeping site becomes saturated with the cat's own scent, which researchers describe as functioning like an external record that the space has been repeatedly assessed as safe. A cat that returns every night to the same spot on your bed is not a creature of habit in the passive sense. It is rereading its own safety record and confirming the conclusion hasn't changed. Each return is a quiet reaffirmation. The verdict is the same as last night. Cats living in multi-cat households, sleep closer to other cats. They have formed positive social bonds with a pattern behaviorists describe as proximity correlated with allogrooming. Cats that groom each other will rest touching each other. Cats that have experienced conflict maintain sleeping distances that reflect the history between them. The spacing is a direct physical record of the relationship map. When a cat that has the entire house to choose from comes to sleep against you, it has placed you on that map in the category it reserves for the ones it has chosen. Not by default, and not by proximity, but by preference. In medieval Europe, cats were alternately revered and persecuted across different regions and centuries, but their presence in homes as sleeping companions remained consistent across the documentary record. Manuscript illustrations from the 12th through 15th centuries frequently depict cats curled at the feet of monks, scholars, and household figures, sleeping while humans work or sleep nearby. The image recurs across cultures with such regularity that historians of human-animal relations treat it as evidence of a behavioral constant. Wherever humans created, sheltered, warm, stable space, cats moved into them and chose to stay. Not because they were forced to, because the sleeping arrangement suited both parties. A cat that sleeps in different locations depending on the time of day is not being unpredictable. It is tracking solar heat patterns through the house. Studies of indoor cat activity show that cats shift sleeping locations approximately every 2 to 3 hours to follow the warmest patches created by sunlight moving across floors and windowsills. This thermoregulatory tracking is precise enough that cats can be observed anticipating the arrival of a sunbeam rather than simply reacting to it. But cats that sleep in the same location with a human, regardless of solar patterns, I have replaced the sun with something that offers a different kind of warmth. The paw over nose sleeping posture, in which a cat lies curled with one or both forepaws folded across its face, is observed most frequently in cats sleeping in environments with ambient light or noise. Behaviorists interpret this partly as light blocking, but also as an extension of the tucking inward behavior. The paw over the face protects the whiskers and nose, which continue to process environmental data even during sleep. A cat deeply enough asleep to let the paw fall away, face fully exposed, or nose visible, whiskers spread, is in a sleep state where external monitoring has been suspended. To see your cat like that is to see it at its most trusting. Cats that have experienced early socialization, regular gentle handling by humans between 2 and 7 weeks of age, show consistently different sleep postures in adulthood compared to cats with minimal early contact. Early socialized cats are more likely to sleep in open, exposed positions, more likely to sleep in close physical contact with humans, and show lower stress responses when a familiar human approaches during sleep. The contact during that early window teaches the nervous system that human touch is not a threat. It is among the earliest and most durable lessons a cat's nervous system holds. Long after the kitten has become a cat, the position in which a cat sleeps on your chest or stomach, directly over the heart or lungs, is observed more frequently in cats that have been separated from their primary caregiver for extended periods before reunion. Researchers studying separation and reunion behavior in cats found that cats greeting their owners after an absence of more than 6 hours were significantly more likely to seek elevated body contact, draping across the chest or throat. In the subsequent sleep period, the chest position places the cat at the closest possible proximity to your breathing and heartbeat. It is, functionally, the same position a kitten holds against its mother. Distance was apparently noted, and now it is being corrected. By 10,000 years in, something had been established between cats and the humans who sheltered them. Not ownership, not control, but a recurring agreement renewed each night. The animal that came in from the cold, that found the grain store, that assessed the human and found it worth staying near, has been doing the same assessment every night since. The sleeping position is the result of that assessment. A cat stretched out beside you, breathing slowly, has run every calculation it knows. Temperature, scent, sound, history, and arrived at the same answer as yesterday. You are still safe. It is still staying. You have followed a cat across 10,000 years tonight. From an open desert where every sleeping position was a survival decision, to the bed where an animal has chosen to lower its guard beside you. You are also an animal. Your breathing slows the same way. Your body seeks the same warmth, the same stillness, the same signal that it is safe to let go. Feel the weight of your body now, the way your limbs settle without effort, the way your breath deepens when nothing is asking you to be ready. A cat dreaming beside a human fire. 10,000 years ago. A human breathing in the dark. Now, the same agreement. The same quiet. In multi-cat colonies studied in urban environments, dominant cats do not take the most protected sleeping locations. They take the most central ones, positions from which they can monitor the colony without themselves being in the most concealed spot. Cats with lower confidence sleep at the periphery, often tucked into corners. This positional pattern is consistent enough that researchers can map social structure within a colony simply by recording where each cat sleeps. A domestic cat choosing to sleep in the center of your bed, not tucked at the corner, not at the foot, is not being presumptuous. It is sleeping like it belongs there. Cats living in homes rated as high-stress environments, characterized by frequent loud noise, unpredictable schedules, or tension between household members, show measurably different sleep behavior than cats in low-stress homes. High-stress cats sleep more, but with shorter REM episodes and more frequent postural shifts throughout the night. They are physically resting, but neurologically vigilant. Low-stress cats show longer, more open sleep postures, fewer nocturnal disturbances, and higher rates of sleeping in physical contact with humans. The quality of a cat's sleep is partly a report on the quality of the home. Unopen, still, extended cat sleeping through the night is telling you something about what you have built together. The phenomenon known as the cat loaf with eyes half open, in which a cat sits in a loaf position with its nictitating membrane, the inner eyelid, partially visible, represents a specific vigilance-modulated rest state. In this condition, the cat's brain activity shows reduced alertness compared to full wakefulness, while the body maintains postural readiness. A similar principle underlies the deep unihemispheric sleep seen in dolphins and certain birds, though this mechanism has not been fully confirmed in cats. What researchers have observed is that the degree of eyelid closure in resting cats tracks their perceived safety level. A cat that never relaxes past this half-open state near you is telling you something. So is a cat that almost always moves past it. The ancient Romans recorded cats as household animals across multiple texts and mosaics, noting their independence and their tendency to sleep in unexpected locations. One Roman writer described a cat sleeping on the chest of a sleeping soldier, a detail that has survived nearly 2,000 years because it captured something recognizable. Cats choose their sleeping places, and the choices sometimes surprise the people chosen. Roman households that kept cats for pest control frequently reported the animals sleeping in human sleeping quarters, a behavior that was tolerated, noted, and in many accounts, clearly valued. Cats that have lived with a specific human for more than 2 years show a measurable shift in sleep behavior compared to their patterns in the first 6 months of the relationship. Long-term cats are more likely to initiate sleep contact rather than respond to it, more likely to return to a specific location associated with the human, and show reduced time to REM sleep in the human's presence. The relationship deepens the sleep. Not because the cat has become more dependent. It hasn't. But because the accumulated record of thousands of safe nights has built something in the nervous system that looks, from the outside, very much like trust. When a new cat is introduced into a home that already has a resident cat, sleeping behavior is one of the primary indicators researchers use to track social integration. 2 cats that have not yet established a relationship will sleep in separate rooms, or on opposite ends of a shared surface, with their bodies oriented away from each other. Integration progresses through a predictable sequence: shared room, then shared surface at distance, then shared surface with body orientation toward each other, then physical contact during sleep. The final stage, sleeping, touching, typically takes between 3 and 12 months and is considered the clearest behavioral marker that the relationship is genuinely established. The Japanese concept of neko biori, literally cat weather, or good weather for cats, describes the specific quality of light on a warm afternoon that is most associated with feline sleep and contentment. The phrase entered common usage in the Edo period, when cats were common domestic companions across merchant households. It reflects something observers had noticed for centuries. Cats are extraordinarily responsive to light quality, temperature gradients, and stillness in the air. A cat that has settled into a patch of afternoon light and gone fully limp is not passive. It is doing something precise, finding exactly the conditions its nervous system requires for the deepest rest. A cat that sleeps with one eye partially open is not in light sleep. The partially open eye in this state does not process visual information normally. The pupils are typically dilated and unresponsive, and recordings of brain activity confirm the brain is in slow-wave sleep rather than alert vigilance. The partial eye opening appears to be a vestigial threat response pattern maintained by the nervous system, even when the assessment says the environment is safe. A cat that has learned to sleep with both eyes fully closed in your presence has, in some measurable sense, gone further than its own instincts initially permitted. In the wild, solitary felids do not sleep in groups. Sociality during sleep is a behavior that domestic cats developed specifically in response to human household environments, spaces where warmth was concentrated, safety was predictable, and another body became, over generations, a legitimate option rather than a competitive threat. This shift is not complete. Individual cats vary enormously in how much contact they seek during sleep, but the capacity for it, the neurological pathway that allows a solitary by nature animal to rest against another warm body, is a domestication artifact. It did not exist 10,000 years ago. It exists now because humans made it possible, night after night, without knowing they were doing it. Cats sleeping in elevated positions, on top of refrigerators, on high shelves, on the back of sofas, are not avoiding you. Elevation, in feline behavioral terms, signals confidence. A cat that can see the room from above has more information than a cat at floor level and experiences less uncertainty. But cats that consistently choose your level, your couch, your bed, your lap, when elevated options are available, have made a different calculation. They are choosing proximity over surveillance. That is a significant choice for an animal whose nervous system evolved to always want the better view. From ancient grain stores to Roman households to the Edo period, the cat has been making its sleeping choices in the presence of humans for a long time. We are now in the middle of its history. The Superman sleeping position, in which a cat lies fully extended on its belly, with its back legs stretched straight behind it, is one of the more physically open postures a cat can adopt. Unlike the loaf, which keeps all limbs gathered, or the curl, which protects the abdomen, the Superman spreads the cat's body across the widest possible surface area. It appears most frequently in kittens and in adult cats, in very familiar environments, with people they have known for extended periods. The position requires the cat to surrender the postural efficiency that allows rapid rising. A cat that sleeps this way near you cannot leap up instantly if startled. It has decided that startling is unlikely. Across multiple studies of cat owners, individuals who allow their cats to sleep in the same bed report lower self-reported anxiety levels and faster sleep onset than those who do not share sleep spaces with their pets. Researchers suggest this may be partly due to the rhythmic quality of a sleeping cat's breathing and warmth, which may act as a subtle physiological anchor for the human's own nervous system. The cat is resting, and your body reads that information. Two nervous systems, quietly calibrating each other downward through the night. The domestic cat's relationship to nighttime is more complex than its reputation as a nocturnal animal suggests. True nocturnality means the primary activity window is during the night. Cats are crepuscular, most active at dawn and dusk, which means that for a significant portion of the night, they are resting alongside their sleeping humans rather than prowling. Studies using activity trackers on indoor cats show that the majority spend between 60 and 70% of overnight hours in sedentary or sleep states. The cat pacing through the house at 2 in the morning is the exception. The cat sleeping quietly beside you through most of the night is the rule. In ancient Egypt, killing a cat, even accidentally, was a capital offense during the height of the cult of Bastei, when the Persian king Cambyses II invaded Egypt in 525 BCE. Historical accounts, though disputed by some scholars, describe soldiers using cats as psychological shields, knowing Egyptian forces would not risk harming them. Whether or not the specific account is accurate, it reflects something real. By this period, the cultural encoding of cats as protected beings had become militarily significant. Something that had started as a useful animal near a grain store had, over several thousand years, become untouchable. The sleeping cat beside a human fire had been noticed and then enshrined. The loaf to sprawl transition, in which a cat begins in a gathered loaf position and gradually shifts over the course of minutes into a partial side-lying sprawl, is considered by feline behaviorists to be one of the most reliable visual indicators of increasing trust within a single interaction. The loaf is a considered rest. The sprawl is rest that stopped thinking about itself. Cats observed in the presence of unfamiliar people maintain the loaf or tighten it. Cats, in the presence of trusted individuals, make the transition naturally, as the nervous system's assessment is quietly confirmed. Nothing has changed. Still safe. Still staying. If you're still with us, still following this small, particular animal across its long history, thank you for staying. If you're finding it easier to rest tonight, that's the whole point of being here. Like your cat, you already know how to let go. We're just giving you permission. Cats that have experienced trauma, early abandonment, extended shelter stays, or prior household instability show a distinctive sleep behavior pattern that researchers describe as hypervigilant resting. These cats sleep for normal durations but in compressed, tightly gathered postures, frequently with their back against a wall or corner. They rarely achieve the open or extended positions associated with high trust, even in environments that have been objectively safe for extended periods. The nervous system's record of unsafe nights does not erase quickly, but over months and years, behaviorists have documented gradual postural opening in trauma-experienced cats who have been consistently treated with patience and predictability. The first time a previously compressed cat sprawls open near you is not nothing. A cat that stops sleeping in its usual location, the same spot it has returned to for months, without an obvious environmental change, is showing a behavioral signal worth noting. Changes in sleeping location, duration, or posture are among the earliest behavioral markers of illness in cats, often appearing before clinical symptoms become obvious. Veterinarians and feline behaviorists recommend treating unexplained changes in sleep behavior the way you would treat unexplained changes in appetite, as information the body is offering. A cat that moves away from its usual sleep location near you may not be withdrawing. It may be telling you something in the only language it has. In homes where a primary caregiver has experienced prolonged periods of illness, grief, or emotional distress, cats have been repeatedly observed modifying their sleeping behavior in response. Studies and anecdotal records consistently document cats spending more time in physical contact with distressed caregivers, sleeping closer and initiating contact more frequently during periods of human emotional difficulty. The mechanism is not fully understood. Researchers suggest cats may be responding to changes in the human's cortisol output, movement patterns, or vocal behavior. What the cat is responding to precisely may be uncertain. That it is responding is not. The age at which a cat is spayed or neutered influences its adult sleeping behavior in measurable ways. Intact cats, particularly males, sleep in less predictable patterns, range more widely through the house, and show less consistency in sleeping location. Neutered and spayed cats, in whom the hormonal drives toward territory expansion and mate-seeking are reduced, show more stable sleeping patterns and higher rates of sleeping in close proximity to their caregivers. This is a clear demonstration that feline sleeping behavior is not purely instinctual. It is responsive to internal chemistry. The calm, consistent cat returning to the same spot beside you every night is, in part, a hormonal outcome, but the choice of where to be calm remains its own. Elderly cats, typically those over 12 years, show measurable changes in sleep architecture compared to their younger selves. They spend more time in slow-wave sleep, less in REM, and experience more frequent brief arousals throughout the night. Their sleeping positions often shift toward warmer, more supported surfaces against a human body, tucked against a pillow or cushion. The body is seeking more. An old cat pressing against you at night is not just comfortable. It is managing something the years have made harder, and it has chosen to do that near you. When a cat needs, the rhythmic pushing motion made with the front paws against a soft surface, sometimes called making biscuits, before or during sleep. It is enacting a behavior that originates in kittenhood nursing. Kneading stimulates milk flow in nursing mothers. In adult cats, it appears in contexts associated with comfort and safety. The surfaces needed are almost always soft, warm, and associated with familiar scent. A cat that kneads on you before sleeping is not performing a quirky habit. It is in a neurological state where you have become, for a moment, the safest thing in its world. The motion has no practical function anymore. It persists because the feeling underneath it still does. Longitudinal observational research on domestic cat sleeping behavior in household settings has consistently identified one finding that researchers have described as unexpected. The single strongest predictor of sleep posture is not temperature, not time of day, and not the cat's age or sex, but the proximity and behavioral state of the primary human caregiver. Cats sleep more openly, more deeply, and in more vulnerable positions when their primary person is also resting nearby. This pattern has been replicated across multiple studies, tracking sleep episodes in household cats over extended periods. The cat's sleep and your sleep are, in measurable terms, linked. The domestic cat has no word for what it is doing when it chooses to sleep beside you. It has no narrative for the relationship, no concept of what the selection means across the arc of its life. It has only the assessment, the continuous, real-time reading of temperature, sound, scent, and movement that it performs every hour it is alive, and it has the posture that results from that assessment. The belly-up cat, the pour-over-face cat, the cat pressed against your side. Each one is the output of a calculation that has been running for longer than it can remember. The answer keeps coming up the same. Cats that are allowed to sleep in their owner's bedroom, but not on the bed show intermediate sleep behavior compared to cats allowed full access. They sleep in more compressed postures than bed-sharing cats, but more open postures than cats kept out of the bedroom entirely. The gradient is consistent. The closer the permitted proximity to the human during sleep, the more open and relaxed the postures observed. Researchers interpret this as the cat's nervous system responding to degree of access rather than binary presence or absence. Every inch of additional closeness you allow is registered. The animal is paying attention to how far you are willing to let it in. Halfway through the facts of this particular cat's long history, something has been established. Not only the science of what cats do when they sleep, though that is what we have been describing, but the shape of what that science points toward. Every posture, every choice of surface, every inch of proximity or distance has been, from the beginning, the same thing. An animal telling you, in the only language its body knows, whether it is willing to be seen while it is most vulnerable. The question is still the one from the beginning. And by now, you may have begun to notice that you already know the answer for your particular cat. You have seen it, most nights, without quite knowing what you were seeing. From kittenhood neurology to household routines to the slow architecture of trust, the history is not only the cat's, it is the history of everything the two of you have built. Night after night, without announcement. You are at the midpoint tonight. Notice where you are. The weight of your body on the surface beneath you. The sound of your own breathing, slowing, without effort. You have traveled from the first fires of the Fertile Crescent to the bedroom you are lying in right now. The cat that chose to stay near humans 10,000 years ago and the cat that chose to sleep near you tonight are part of the same long story. You don't need to do anything with that. You don't need to hold it or remember it. Just notice, for a moment, that something chose you, quietly, without announcement, by coming back. That is enough. Rest now. A cat that has been alone in the house all day will, upon your return, and frequently follow you from room to room for the first 20 to 40 minutes. And then, once it has confirmed your continued presence, settle into sleep. Behaviorists describe this as proximity seeking, leading to secure base return. The cat needed to verify you were back. Once verified, the nervous system could release. Sleep was not available until you were accounted for. Your presence is not just a preference for the cat. In the hours after reunion, it appears to function as a precondition. The position in which two cats sleep curled together, a low huddling, provides measurable thermoregulatory benefit. But studies show that cats will maintain physical contact during sleep, even when the ambient temperature makes the extra warmth unnecessary. The contact itself appears to be the primary purpose. A cat sleeping pressed against your back in a warm room is not doing it for heat. The body against body itself is the point. What the warm room cannot provide. Apparently, is whatever that contact carries. Cats, living in homes with consistent daily routines, show more stable and predictable sleeping patterns than cats in homes with variable schedules. Consistency of feeding times, human activity patterns, and household noise levels all correlate with measurable reductions in feline sleep fragmentation. A cat that knows when you wake up, when you come home, and when you go to sleep has been given the gift of a predictable world. Predictability and safety in the feline nervous system are very nearly the same thing. The ancient Greek historian Herodotus wrote in the 5th century BCE of Egyptian households entering mourning when a cat in the family died, including the shaving of eyebrows as a grief display equivalent to that performed for human family members. Historians note that some details of his account require careful reading, but the broader picture he describes reflects something well documented in Egyptian records. The animal sleeping inside the household had been given a status that made its loss a family loss. The sleeping cat beside the human fire had, by then, already become something irreplaceable. A cat that buries its face in the crook of your elbow or the curve of your neck before sleeping is seeking the highest concentration of your personal scent. The neck and inner arms carry glands associated with individual scent signature. A cat pressing its nose into these areas during sleep is, in a very literal sense, memorizing you. The scent profile is being updated. The archive of what safe smells like is being refreshed. You are being filed. Again, under the category that matters most, cats that have been separated from their primary caregiver by an event, hospitalization, extended travel, rehoming, and then reunited, show a documented period of increased sleep contact seeking that typically lasts between 3 days and 2 weeks. During this period, the cat sleeps closer, needs more, follows more, and initiates physical contact during sleep at a higher rate than before the separation. Researchers describe this as proximity recalibration, the nervous system re-establishing the baseline of closeness that had been interrupted. Something was missed. The sleep behavior is how the cat accounts for it. A cat sleeping on a piece of your clothing, a worn shirt, a folded blanket you frequently use, in your absence, is not simply being territorial. Studies of scent-marking behavior in cats confirm that sleeping on a high-scent surface belonging to a familiar human reduces cortisol levels in the cat during the human's absence. The shirt is performing a regulatory function. It is the closest available approximation of your presence. A cat that specifically seeks out your worn clothing to sleep on has built an association between your scent and its own nervous system settling. You are, in your absence, still helping it rest. In multi-generational household studies, homes where cats lived, alongside children who grew from infancy through adolescence, researchers documented that cats maintain sleep proximity with human family members across significant life changes in the household. New siblings, household moves, changes in schedule. In many cases, the cat's sleeping pattern, with the primary attachment figure, remained stable even as other aspects of its behavior adapted to change. The bond registered in the sleeping location had accumulated enough history that it could absorb disruption without breaking. The period immediately before a human falls asleep, the hypnagogic transition, involves a measurable reduction in cortisol and an increase in oxytocin when a familiar pet is present. Studies measuring this transition in cat owners found that the presence of a sleeping cat in the room, even without direct physical contact, accelerated the onset of sleep. The brain is reading the room. A sleeping cat tells the threat detection system something it takes seriously. If that animal is not vigilant, the environment is probably safe. You are being reassured by an animal that has already done the work. The development of cat-specific communication with humans, the distinctive meow, which adult cats rarely direct at other cats, is thought to have evolved as a response to the human acoustic environment. Cats learned, over generations of living with people, that vocalizations produced responses. They adapted the specific frequency and pattern of their contact calls to better match human auditory preferences. A cat is, in a very real sense, speaking a language it developed partly for you, and then, at night, it stops using it. Sleep is when the language is no longer needed. The body says everything. A cat, sleeping with its tail wrapped around its feet, is in a thermoregulatory and postural state of moderate comfort. A cat sleeping with its tail extended and still is deeper in. A cat whose tail twitches slowly during sleep is in a REM state, the motor system partially active, responding to dream content. Researchers observing tail behavior during feline sleep have documented that cats dreaming of hunting show tail movements with a frequency and rhythm that matches their awake hunting behavior. A cat dreaming beside you is having experiences. That its body moves through them while resting next to yours is worth noticing quietly. Older studies of cat sleep describe the behavior as essentially private, that cats did not orient their sleep behavior toward humans in any consistent way. More recent research, using wearable monitors and home video analysis, has consistently revised this conclusion. Cats do orient toward humans. They track their primary caregiver's location, adjust their own sleep location in response to the human's movements, and show different sleep architecture depending on whether their person is home, awake, or asleep. The cat knows where you are. It knew before you came to bed, and it adjusted accordingly. In households that have experienced the death of a human family member, cats frequently showed changes in sleep behavior for periods ranging from weeks to months, spending more time in the deceased person's sleeping area, sleeping on their belongings, or relocating their usual sleep spot closer to surviving family members. The behavioral interpretation researchers offer is cautious. It is difficult to know what the cat knows, but the behavior itself is consistent and documentable. Something in the cat's internal model of the household has become incomplete. It is sitting in the space where something was and sleeping there, as if the problem can be kept warm until it resolves. Small wild felids studied in captivity, including several African and Asian species related to the domestic cat's ancestor, show a consistent preference for sleeping with their bodies in contact with a solid surface rather than on open platforms, even when both are available. Researchers studying these animals found that the physical sensation of something solid against the side of the body appears to serve a regulatory function, independent of warmth or concealment. Domestic cats, sleeping pressed against you, may be accessing the same system. Something about the pressure, the solidity, the thing that does not shift. Something solid. Something that doesn't move. By this point in the journey, a pattern has settled. 10,000 years of cats choosing proximity. Choosing whose fire to sleep beside. Whose smell to memorize. Whose presence to use as permission to let go. The science gives each behavior a name. The name doesn't change what it was before science found it. It was always a small animal, making a large decision in the only way it knew how, by where it put its body when it was most exposed. The question at the beginning was what the sleeping position tells you. Bingo. You have most of the answer. Indoor cats that are never allowed outside show more stable and trusting sleep postures, on average, than outdoor access cats. Outdoor cats carry a more active threat monitoring burden. They must assess and reassess environments that genuinely contain predators, vehicles, territorial rivals, and weather variability. The indoor cat's nervous system has been given a smaller and more manageable world. Everything known, everything assessed. The sprawl of an indoor cat sleeping in a sunbeam in the middle of a Saturday afternoon is the posture of an animal whose threat inventory is short and well managed. A cat sleeping directly on your head or across your hair is not being inconsiderate. Cats show a preference when sleeping in contact with humans, for areas of concentrated warmth and personal scent. The head generates a notable proportion of the body's heat and carries a high density of individual scent markers. A cat sleeping on or near your head has found the warmest, most recognizably you-scented place in the bed. The choice is precise. It is finding exactly the thing it came for. In the 17th century, the naturalist and diarist John Evelyn described his household cat in terms that behavioral ecologists today would find accurate. The animal chose when and where to sleep with a particularity that revealed preference rather than randomness. And the humans of the household had gradually come to understand its sleeping locations as a reliable index of its social regard. Evelyn did not use the word trust. He used the word favor. The animal had extended its favor in the form of where it chose to rest. Centuries later, the science has produced a more technical vocabulary for the same observation. Cats sleeping in the side curl position, curled on their side with the belly somewhat exposed, but the legs tucked toward the chest, occupy a middle position on the trust spectrum. The belly is visible, but not fully open. The legs are gathered, but not in full protective loaf. This posture appears to represent a moderately trusting state. The animal is comfortable enough to soften, but the nervous system has not fully stood down. It may be the most common sleeping posture of a domestic cat in a stable home. Not the alert loaf, not the full surrender of the belly up. Something in between that says, I am comfortable here, and I am still paying a little attention. The neurological mechanism behind why cats seek warm bodies to sleep against involves the feline thermoregulatory system's integration with social bonding circuitry. Research on feline brain activity suggests that neurons in the hypothalamus, which regulate body temperature, share pathways with regions involved in social bonding and attachment. Warmth and closeness are, in the feline brain, neighbors. This means that when a cat presses against you for warmth, it may be activating the same circuitry involved in social attachment. The heat-seeking and the closeness-seeking are not separate drives. They appear to be one drive expressing itself as both. A cat that sleeps on the same side of the bed as you, regardless of which side you take on a given night, is tracking your location rather than a location. If you switch sides, the cat switches too. Behaviorists who have observed this pattern in household settings confirm the finding: it is you, not the spot, that the cat is sleeping beside. The particular patch of mattress is irrelevant. The geography changes. The person is the constant. The person is the point. In certain Buddhist monastic traditions across Southeast Asia, cats have been kept as monastery animals for centuries. Their quiet habits and independent natures considered consonant with contemplative practice. Monastery cats are documented sleeping in meditation halls, in front of altars, and beside monks during sitting practice or sleep. Whether the cat understood anything of the practice happening around it is an open question. What is consistent across the records is the image: a human settling into stillness and an animal settling alongside them, both of them arriving by different routes at the same quiet. A cat that grooms you, licking your hand, your arm, your hair, before settling in to sleep, is engaging in the highest form of social bonding behavior in the feline repertoire. Allogrooming in cats is reserved for individuals the cat has placed in its core social group. The grooming before sleep is not random. It is the same behavior the cat uses with the cats it sleeps in contact with. The cats, it has decided, are part of its world. You have been placed in that category. The lick before sleep is the confirmation. As the facts approach their end, the cat's long history has narrowed to something very small. A room. A pill. An animal with a nervous system that is 95% wildcat, that has been making the same assessment for 10,000 years, and arrived tonight at the same conclusion it arrived at last night. The posture is the answer. The closeness is the verdict. There was never a moment when the cat decided once and for all. There are only the many nights, accumulated across years. Each one, a choice renewed so many times, it has become something that looks like, and perhaps simply is, belonging. Your cat's sleep is a trust scale. This is the big idea, arriving not as a statement, but as something you have watched accumulate. The wildcat's postural inheritance, the Egyptian reverence, the medieval manuscript illustrations, the neurology of warmth and attachment sharing a pathway, the proximity recalibration after reunion, the pour-over face and the belly up and the slow blink before settling. The scale has been calibrating the whole time. Every posture is a wordless verdict. The verdict is not about the space. It was never about the space. It was always about whether you are its safe place. And you are. You have been, quietly, for a long time, You and the cat in your mind right now are doing the same thing. Breathing. Settling. Letting the body find the position it needs. You traveled a long way tonight. Across history. Across the careful architecture of a small animal's nervous system. Across 10,000 years of the same question being asked and answered in the same way. You don't need to carry any of it forward. The cat doesn't carry it. It simply lives in the assessment of right now. Safe still. Here, let your body feel what the cat's body knows. The surface beneath you is solid. The temperature is enough. Nothing is being asked of you. Both of you, breathing in the dark. Both of you, already where you need to be. A sleeping cat does not dream about the future. Neurological studies of REM sleep in cats show activity patterns consistent with replaying recent sensory and motor experiences. The texture of a surface, the sequence of a movement. The cat in REM is somewhere it has already been. It is not planning. It is revisiting. Tonight's sleep is already part of what it will carry forward. The sound of a cat purring during sleep is produced by rhythmic laryngeal muscle contractions, oscillating between 25 and 150 Hz. Research has found that frequencies in this range are associated with stimulating bone density maintenance and promoting healing in soft tissue. A cat purring in your presence is not performing contentment. The vibration is doing something real. You are close enough to receive some of it. A cat that has slept in the same spot for years leaves a chemical record there that persists even after the cat is gone. The scent markers deposited by glands on the face and paws do not degrade quickly. Owners who have lost cats have reported that the sleeping place retained a quality of presence for months afterward. The record of many safe nights does not disappear overnight. Some cats sleep with one paw extended, touching you, but otherwise apart. Not against you, not in your lap, on a puff, making contact. Behaviorists have no formal name for this. It appears in the literature as a footnote, an observed behavior without a fully articulated mechanism, but anyone who has experienced it knows what it is. A small thread kept open, a way of sleeping together that asks for almost nothing and offers, nonetheless, the same thing. The word domesticated comes from the Latin domus, home. A domesticated animal is, literally, one that has chosen to live in the home. The cat chose this. The cat still chooses it. Every night. In the form of where it puts its body, when it is most vulnerable. Domestic is not a condition imposed on the cat. It is a decision the cat renews. A cat sleeping through a thunderstorm in your presence, when it would otherwise be agitated, is using your nervous system as a reference point. Social referencing, looking to a trusted individual to calibrate one's own fear response, has been documented in cats, dogs, and human infants. A calm human tells the cat something about whether the loud noise is actually threatening. Your stillness is information. Your presence is regulation. You are, without doing anything, helping. The last wild ancestor of the domestic cat still exists. African wildcats live across sub-Saharan Africa and parts of the Middle East. They look almost identical to the domestic cat. They sleep in concealed, solitary places. They do not choose human proximity. The decision to stay was made by some ancestor of yours and some ancestor of the cat sleeping beside you. A specific cat and a specific human, at a specific fire, on a specific night 10,000 years ago. Everything that followed came from that. The wild cat still lives in the world, and a version of it is asleep beside you tonight, having made a different choice. That choice is the whole history. When you move during the night, your cat adjusts. Research using motion tracking in co-sleeping households shows that cats make small postural adjustments to maintain contact or proximity when the human shifts position. The cat does not fully wake. It moves, stays close, and settles again. It is, in some quiet way, keeping track of you even in sleep. The monitoring is not anxious. It is the kind of attention that does not require waking. A cat that closes its eyes fully when you look at it is not asleep. It is doing something that in feline social language means, I have looked at you, I have found you safe, and I am closing my eyes in your presence on purpose. This is the slow blink returned. It is one of the few moments the cat's internal assessment is directly visible. You are being told, in the cat's own vocabulary, that you are not a threat. You are something the cat is willing to be undefended around. That is not a small thing. There is a quality of stillness that descends in a room where a cat is sleeping deeply. The slow breath, the loose posture, the twitching paw of a distant dream. It seems to settle the room around it. People who work or read in the presence of a sleeping cat describe feeling calmer, slower, more contained. The animal is not doing anything, but something is happening. You have been in that room. You know what it is. Cats in hospice care settings have been documented across multiple observational studies, spending extended periods sleeping beside individuals approaching end of life. The mechanism remains unknown. Researchers suggest the cats may be responding to changes in breathing pattern, body temperature, or scent. What the studies consistently record is the behavior itself. The cat comes, stays, and sleeps there. Whatever it is detecting, it responds by choosing proximity. The choice, at the end, is the same choice it makes every night. The cat on your bed tonight is approximately 400 generations removed from the cats that first chose to sleep near human settlements. 400 generations of the same assessment. 400 generations of cats who stayed near enough that their offspring were born in the presence of humans. You are the inheritor of 400 consecutive decisions to remain. Something about you, your smell, your movements, your history with this particular animal has passed all the tests. A cat sleeping with its paws tucked under, eyes closed, breathing slow, does not know that it is calm. It does not reflect on its own safety. It simply is wherever the nervous system has arrived after all available information has been processed. The calm is the output of a system that has finished its work. There is something to learn from that, not as instruction, just as witness. The belly-up cat, fully exposed, limbs at rest in all directions, is not performing vulnerability. It is in a state where the concept of vulnerability has temporarily stopped being relevant. The nervous system's risk inventory came back empty. There is nothing to protect against. The world, for this animal, in this moment, is exactly safe enough. That is a state worth being near. 10,000 years of cats. 100 facts. One question. What does the sleeping position tell you about the relationship the cat has decided to have with you? The answer has been arriving in small pieces across the whole night. The loaf, the tummy curl, the paw over your hand in the dark, the belly up, the purr, the slow blink before the eyes close. The question is answered. You already knew. That's why you're still here. Tomorrow, your cat will make the same assessment. It will walk the room, sit somewhere for a while, consider the options it always considers, and eventually come to the same place it came to tonight. Not because it must, because the conclusion keeps coming up the same. You are still the answer. The way a cat settles into sleep, the slow lowering of the head, the slight shift of weight, the final adjustment of the tail, takes about 30 seconds from decision to rest. 30 seconds from choosing to being fully arrived. The body knows exactly how to do this. It has done it every single day of its life. It has done it. Tonight. Near you. A sleeping cat's whiskers remain fully extended even in deep sleep. They continue to register subtle changes in air movement and spatial information even when the rest of the body has let go. The cat keeps one small thread of contact with the world, even at rest. A sensitive instrument, still quietly open, still gently attending to whatever the dark may bring. The warmth of a sleeping cat pressed against you is close to the temperature of a human hand. Body heat, shared between two different animals, in the same room, in the same night. That is not nothing. It is one of the oldest facts about being alive, that warmth shared is warmth that lasts longer, and that two bodies resting together lose heat more slowly than one body resting alone. The cat does not remember every night it has slept near you. Neither do you. But the record is held somewhere, in the posture that has gradually opened over months, in the location it returns to without thinking, in the paw, extended toward you in the dark. Memory and trust are not always the same thing. Trust is what remains after memory has stopped keeping track. In the deepest part of the night, when the house is fully quiet and the cat is in REM sleep beside you, something is dreaming. It is probably dreaming of something it has done, a surface it walked, a warmth it found. It is, in its own way, revisiting its life. And some version of tonight, this stillness, this particular warmth, may be part of what it carries into tomorrow. The cat's eyes, when fully closed in sleep, show a slight movement beneath the lids. The world inside is active. The world outside is still. Both are happening at once, in the same small body, in the same room where you are resting. Two lives, briefly, in the same quiet dark. Somewhere, right now, a cat is curled in the smallest possible circle, nose to tail, breathing slowly. in a patch of warmth that belongs to someone it has decided to trust. The posture is ancient. The warmth is real. The decision, renewed again tonight, is as ordinary and as significant as it has always been. You have been watching a cat sleep, in one form or another, for the entire length of this video. 100 different postures and positions. And perhaps somewhere in all of it, you recognized something, not just about the cat, but about what it means to choose where to rest, and who to rest near, and what it takes to let the body finally open. A cat sleeping beside you, fully extended, the belly visible, paws at rest, has finished all its calculations for the night. The verdict is in. The verdict is you. Your cat's sleep is a trust scale, and every posture is a wordless result. Not about the room, not about the furniture, not about the temperature of the bed, about whether you are its safe place. And tonight, as every night before this, the answer is the same. You are. You have always been. Now rest. We began where cats began. In the desert, at the fire. An animal that had not yet decided to stay. We followed it across 10,000 years and through 100 sleeping positions. From the loaf that keeps all 4 paws tucked and ready, to the belly up that has nothing left to defend. We watched the posture open, slowly, over millennia, and over the course of a single relationship. And somewhere around fact 75, the question answered itself. The sleeping position was never a diagnostic. It was a verdict, renewed quietly, night after night. For as long as the arrangement has held, the same forces that shaped a wildcat in a desert 10,000 years ago are still shaping the small weight on your bed tonight. What the cat found worth staying for, it is still finding, and, whatever that is, you are part of it. Almost nothing now. A cat, somewhere in this room or in your mind, breathing. The slow rise of its side, the tucked paw, the slight twitch of a dream. You are also breathing. Your body is also settling. The two of you, breathing together, in the same warm, dark. No difference. Right now, between resting and being held. Let go of the last thing you were holding. The cat already has. If you watched a sleeping cat tonight and finally understood what it was saying, that's what we come here to do. If another night of animal facts would help you rest, the next video is already waiting. Stay as long as you need. Your cat's warmth is still somewhere, even now, in the room or in the memory of it, continuing without your effort, without your noticing. You don't need to hold any of this. It was never yours to carry. You've traveled a long way tonight, through 10,000 years of quiet assessments, patient arrivals, and postures that open slowly over time. You followed something small and ancient all the way to here. You can allow these thoughts of sleeping cats to fade now. Unlike a cat's purr that continues past the moment you stop noticing it. Not gone, simply part of the warm air around you, leaving only the still, soft, calm behind. Let your breathing deepen. Let your body feel heavier, as if the gentle, the patient weight of a sleeping cat has settled across you. unhurried, warm, and is simply holding you. If sleep comes, let it carry you the way a cat settles into sleep. Not rushed, not deliberate, but arriving into a place where time and weight no longer matter. If your eyes are still open, the next video is waiting for you, ready to continue the journey. But if they're closed, stay there. Stay in the darkness that feels safe and warm. Tomorrow, the cat will make the same assessment. Even now, somewhere, something is curling toward warmth. But tonight belongs to stillness. Rest well, sleepy soul. And remember, the ones who stay have already decided. Good night.